You pass that down.
So we're 8 minutes early, we're fine then.
Thank you.
Okay, then she told me.
Are we aired them? How many know if we're on air? Yeah, okay, somebody's on there. You got it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You're eating.
Is that name correct? So it's good for me too. I'm like, it's
Oh, I'm getting that too.
COD gift.
Gotta share with you. Should I share with you? Yeah.
Okay.
Put that down.
Complete.
Meaning.
Are you back? Are you in?
That.
I got nothing.
I think it's rebooted. It's
That's not private.
I think it's.
Yeah. Incorrect password. I didn't know it was even saved.
I don't think I'm on that. This is my own.
Capital C, little O, little E, and capital G.
That's what I put
Yes,
in.
P.
But incorrect password is alright. You're the one that was saved with me.
Okay, let's see if I.
Let me try it again.
They have good grades. And then that's how it works. Okay.
No, for all of it.
Are you selecting COE guest?
It quit working. It was working about 5 minutes ago.
And it went, okay, meeting canceled.
All right, got the go. All quiz.
She had the wrong channel last time and. I think we're good. 1, 2. Working?
Did I?
There you go. It's going now.
Okay, but we're not with that. Michigan.
Hold on. Turn green up here.
There you are.
We'll stay on there. 1, 2, testing 1, 2. It's on. Going. Last time somehow we had channel change, and I don't understand why. Oh, okay. We made another executive decision. We moved the podium over here. Confuse people.
Executive session or executive decision?
Executive decision.
Okay.
Because, and again, I have no problem with it, because that way, if people have stuff they need to hand to the committee council, it should go to the clerk. And that way they're right there, that way nobody's cutting across. Perfect. We're watching me with this, like.
Do you,
There's some new
Rusty, you
type
want
of
to turn your
here.
microphones on?
We'll just quit that crap, that's all they can go.
Yeah, perfect.
That is perfect. Here's some of them there. Yeah, I have no pictures of group.
You want me to just take a picture and send it to you?
Or just throughout the meeting, just take out pictures.
Okay.
Different things. I have no pictures like that.
I sent you across there. I'm sure I understand.
Yeah, I appreciate that. If you do, like, just set it up there.
Okay, appreciate it.
I know, it's a little around. It's good.
Ready? 2 minutes, 3 minutes?
Whatever moves less. Don't tell them to go there. Go there. Yeah, mine's on the way too much. The city attorney has reminded me there's a football game on too tonight.
8 o'clock central?
No, about 7.
7:15?
Until say for stuff.
But you very
7:15 seconds. I will be out until like 6.
Meeting.
I was gonna turn my table down, but I decided. It's a good 7 o'clock
Yeah.
in the morning.
Yeah.
Morning, demand.
You do like the hospital board does when they have board meetings and you in the past turn your TV on, watch it pay you back. Turn the sound down.
I'm not gonna need to put that far. I
We have many,
Use the paper.
but there's no.
Oh, you're.
I still will go on to it. I don't know, after running, I don't know, mine is rebooting.
Can't even get into the meeting.
Yeah, you only have 1 feed, I think, going, so.
Did you restart your tablet and restart it?
You gotta be old fashioned like me. Come with the credit in the pocket.
Well, the binder clips are about.
Because the problem is for me to find something on the computer, when you ask me a question, I go, page 12.
All right, here we go. Let's all stand for the pledge, a meeting of the regular council meeting for the city of Ellsworth for October 27th, 2025. Let's say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have a microphone? I don't have one.
I'm not gonna. Oh, we sold.
That's nice.
I don't know.
Here, you can have some.
You just turned it off. You just turned it off.
That's on. No, it was on.
It was on and you turned it off
He did.
when you pushed the button.
That's.
You know,
That's. We can work on it here.
here, they're playing nice here.
Okay.
It's done.
There we go. All right, so the first item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve the agenda as written.
I'll second.
All right, Tyler has made a motion to approve the agenda as presented. President of Council Coates has seconded that. Any issues with that? All right, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Moving on to the consent agenda, it includes the approval of the October 13th meeting minutes. Are there also any water and sewer termination extension requests?
There is one.
There is one, okay.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
All right. Council Renard has made a motion to approve the consent agenda. And Councilor Hanson has seconded that motion. Any issues with that? Any concerns? All right, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right. Do we have a list for making public comments today? Any public comments? May have them, we may not. Who do we have?
Karen Schreiner.
Darren Schreiner, come
Yeah.
on. Karen Schreiner, come on up.
I'm gonna address the Rockville public walkways. At our last city council meeting, dealing with the conversation about rocks and other items on the sidewalks, and I mentioned the rocks on our city-owned public walk south of town. And I know I shouldn't have done that, but I did anyway. To familiarize Mr. Dingle and others of the city owned public walk, I will explain. I hope everyone realized we have a river bridge at the south end of the city. So a few years ago, the city decided to build a public walkway from the west end of the bridge south to the Good Samaritan facility. For the residents in the area could walk to town, which is nice, and now a lot of residents from other parts of the city are using it. When we had a large downpour of rain several weeks ago, rocks and sand were washed upon a section of the city-owned public walkway. After the city council meeting, I told Mr. Dingle which house these rocks were near, and was informed that he didn't know where that was. But had I mentioned a house in Junction City, he probably could have told me exactly where it was. Located, as Junction City is mentioned frequently in our city council meetings. That was 6 weeks ago, and no one from the city office has directed anyone working for the city about removing these rocks from the city-owned public walkway. Therefore, and since Mr. Dingle likes large amounts removed from our city budget, I am requesting that the city grant me $320,000 so that I have the funds to pay someone to remove the rocks from the city-owned walkway, since the city does not think they should do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Any,
Maybe
go ahead, Alan.
I talked to Troy the next morning. He's actually working with KDOT because part of that is a KDOT issue. And there's some concrete that's settled down in it. They've left the rock, so it's not the toast everything. And Troy's on as far as I'm concerned, and it was on, and he'd been talking to the KDOT up here and was gonna talk to the area engineer. So he's on it, and he said he was, and he's been watching, so I'm convinced he is.
Anybody else got any comments regarding the issue? No other comments? Okay, thank you. Unfinished business, there is none, so we're moving on to new business. This is a discussion on the HVAC at the Health and Recreation Center. Come on up, Ron.
Hello. So I wanted to visit with you. I got Lane Mills here. He's with the Cross Point Church. And of course, you all know that they utilize the rec center on Sunday mornings. They've been great client, people to work with. Lane probably came to me, about a month ago? And, they're looking at short-term, things to look into because they have some money. Of course, their long-term plan is to have a church of their own down the road, but they are willing, of course, you have a letter in your packet. They are willing to give $50,000 to an HVAC system in the rec center. I did get a couple bids. Basically, the lowest bid was, $58,200 some change. My opinion, I think this would, if we let this go by, it'd be a big mistake, considering the, money we have put into the rec center already. And I would say if we let this go by the wayside, this would maybe never happen again. I mean, the city would have to come up with the funds, on their own. Like I said, it's been a great partnership with them, and it's something that they're willing to do. So if you have questions for Lane, you'd be glad to answer them. But I just, the city would have to come up with, $8,200 and, to make this happen.
Well, that's less than the cost of a residential unit, a really good unit, so that's pretty low, so.
Yeah, can we swing it? I mean, do we
Yeah.
got some money?
That's a small amount. We can
I think we ought to
that.
do it.
Patrick, is there any
Maybe
issue,
done more.
church, city, together, and how would we do this? And because if we make the motion, I mean, we gotta kick some things in place, agreements. And I don't know if I want the city council to make a motion tonight, because when you make a motion, I have to encumber the funds. And what happens doesn't come until next spring, so I'd want to work some magic, that wise, maybe there just to cover the city. I mean, not a problem, because if we make the motion tonight and it doesn't happen because of the weather till January, and I'm sure, I doubt the church will want to pay for it before then. I don't have any problem with that. We have to count against our expenses for the year. So there's just those logistic things that making it happen. But again, I think the opportunity is great. I'm just worried about this stuff.
So, when we first, no, I don't think that there's a church problem, but I want to address it.
And again, I'm
Yeah,
against
yeah.
churches.
Now,
So-
when we first got approached years ago about leasing the space to a church, my lawyer bells went off like separation of church and state. The key is that we would just have to treat them like we would any secular party, which we did. It's available, the space is available for rent, they jumped at the chance. For a donation, the fact that it's coming from a the fact that we would be accepting a donation from a, religious organization is not a problem. I think anytime we accept a donation for a purpose, we need to kind of like Alan said, just make sure we have a documentation of what we're accepting, what we're doing, because there could come a time when somebody wants to give us some money for something the city maybe doesn't want to do as much, and then you can be a little, are good, but sometimes it can be problematic. So I think what Alan's suggesting is maybe just let us get the details out, but this is wonderful, at the same time, like, it seems like a really good thing, and if some other organization was like, hey, we'd like to pay for the HVAC, we'd also be happy, you know, it's a great thing. What I asked Ronnie in the back was, you know, are they asking for some sort of consideration in return for the donation? It doesn't sound like it, which is even more generous of them.
Yeah.
We just want to document all that up.
So are you saying if you take the gift from them, the concern is 2 years down the road, somebody who's not a great organization says, hey, we're gonna give you money. And we're like, no, we're not gonna do business with you. Is that the concern?
No, I think, not exactly. I think that anytime we have someone who's like, hey, I want to donate money to do a project, the city has to make sure they really want the project before they accept the money. So on this one, but Alan, can, you know, there's a difference.
And I agree with Patrick because, attorney, because basically I don't think there's anybody in this room argues that, let's just forget about the church for a second, is that who would want that area out there air conditioned? Everybody. Okay, that makes it a whole lot easier all of a sudden. Now, if they came in there and says, we want to give a donation because we support guns.
Yeah.
Well, we've had to give the same at hunting country probably, but I've been in cities where, well, maybe not, you know? Or are we an organization that, or what if it was a church that, you know, and again, I don't want to pick on churches, but what if it was a church that doesn't have a good reputation? And there's those things like that, or a church that is new to town, or, I mean, and I think there's always those concerns because now you're gonna use a public space that, yes, it's leased to a church, but how does that reflect on the city as well? I think there's some things that I'm not worried about, but I'm not like you, let's set precedents.
So we don't want to overthink it. This is really a
Yeah.
great thing. Let me just put together with Alan an MOU and maybe something we can adopt at a future meeting that says how this will, if that sounds okay. But this is really great.
Okay.
Yeah,
Does
thank
that
you.
sound
Yeah,
okay?
thanks.
Yeah.
Quick question, just to be clear, their rent doesn't change, right? Like this is just an amazing gift and you guys are
I wouldn't
very
even,
generous.
you didn't even bring that up as far as waiving that for this gift that they would give us. It was like, no, we will continue to pay our rent like we do every month and so.
Everybody needs renters like that.
Well, and Ron and the minister there, they've developed a good partnership and I applaud that. So that's what community is about.
When the city's put some money in that building and Ronnie make sure it gets used and, you know, where it was 5 years ago, it's come a long way. So this is really great.
Yeah, and it just seems the people will want to use it more and more too, and this will just kind of.
I would recommend that a motion be made to table the discussion until the city attorney visits with the church or works an agreement, attend the agreement with the church.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to table this discussion until our city attorney has the opportunity to write an MOU and discuss with city administrator Ronnie and Mr. Mills.
Second.
All right, President Council Coates has made the motion to table the discussion until the city attorney has had a chance to discuss it with Cross Point Ellsworth. And Councilor Allen has seconded that. Any discussion or concerns? All right, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Hi,
All opposed? All right, motion carries. We'll table it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate that. Yeah, thanks for the gift. I'm sure it'll work out. Next item. Consideration of purchase an area for a parking lot at the intersection of First Street and Lincoln Street.
This one has, mayor and council members, has changed a little bit. About a month ago, the owner of the building, the old Home Chevrolet, that's all you probably would know it, over here at First and Lincoln, they're demolishing the building, and they're doing it on their own, and they've been, and it's not a cheap thing they're spending on. But they reached out to me and says, would the city want we could tear the building down and have a concrete parking lot then for the city? City, and the question is, does the city need a parking lot and all that good stuff? Well, as we've gotten into it, the concrete can't be saved. So now it's just a piece of dirt. And he's willing to sell for $7,000 and it'll probably take another 10, 15 to get it prepared. Always need parking, but would it be used as some of the city wants to be involved with? You know, if this parking lot comes for sale, I say you hop on this one, but over there is another story. And, you know, you have some business in the area, but not, of course, you do have another parking lot a little bit to the west that's owned by the bank. But at least I thought I'd put an agenda, you know, I'll need to decide. I don't know if it's something we want to take a look at, and I'm not sure if we need to. Or that the offer was made and the guys talked to me and he's good either way, not a big deal, and we had a great visit, so. It's just an opportunity, and again, you know, I don't know if it's a feasible thing to do, or we should do it. Air conditioning makes more sense. But
Yeah.
again, just wanted to bring it out there that way, you know, it was talked about at least.
I mean, I look at it too, as if, you know, if we buy it, then nothing's ever gonna happen to that. You know, where maybe something could come in at some point. I mean, who knows? And it wouldn't really have to be concrete. I mean, you could gravel it too, if we were gonna buy it. You wouldn't need a
Well, we
concrete.
do milling.
Or milling,
Yeah.
but still, I just
Yeah.
don't know.
How many spots would it be approximately? I just saw it come down a couple days ago, and looked
Oh.
at it, I said,
I'm gonna guess 20. That's a guess. I didn't measure it. It was a big spot. And like I said, when he mentioned concrete, then, you know, I was like, okay, let's talk a little more.
Yeah.
But Ben came in last week and talked to me, and it couldn't be kept, you know.
Hmm.
So, and again, I'm glad they talked, you know, again, he reached out to the community and again, wasn't asking an extravagant price. So I know he's spending a whole lot more money than that to tear it down.
So we don't know what the price actually would be to buy it.
He would sell for 7,000, and then whatever it costs to get it, you know, gravelled or get it done, which would be in there 10 to 15 perhaps, but you know.
Sounds like a good deal.
But again, do we need it, you know, from a city standpoint?
I don't know that I've ever seen overflow parking that, I've never seen anybody park that far away to get downtown.
And not even on the side
Yeah.
street, you know? I mean, there's not.
You know, if we owned the land in between there and the library, it might be a different game too,
Yeah,
you know.
But I figure if Tyler, somebody may want to do something with that one, so.
you never know.
No actions needed then.
now the apartments don't really have parking at this point either, do they?
They do.
They're parking on grass though, right?
Right, but they're gonna turn that into a parking lot.
Okay, that was my next question. All right, so they don't need it really, because they didn't have their own. All right, so what is the decision? What do we want to do here? Pursue it or not pursue
I wouldn't.
it? Okay, Mr. Moon?
Well, realistic wise, I'm really not cognizant of what could be done in that area. $7,000 sounds pretty cheap to me. But again, I get the point that if it's for parking, it is quite a ways from the center of town. So I think I just have to vote with the majority. Can I do that?
Well, we don't need to vote. I mean, there's no action
We're
needed.
just discussing.
Okay.
And if there's no motion, we just move on to the next item.
All right, so there's no motion for the parking lot at this point. So we'll move on to the approval of agreement between the Kansas Housing Resources Corporation and the city of Ellsworth.
Mr. Mayor and council members, this is a tenant-based rental assistance. It's been going in this town for a number of years, probably about 7, 8, 9 years ago. When a different city administrator was here, this program was actually being handled outside the city office, and it's for the entire county. And $50,000 comes in, and then it got moved over to the city, and Deanna?
Deanne,
With the police department handles everything. We do get a 7% admin fee, which goes to the general fund up to, so 7% of 50,000 is $3,500. Angela looked last week, about 85%, or I can't remember exact numbers.
85%.
85% is people in the city, the Area 15 are people outside the city, which might be in one of the other cities. I think it's, you know, should the city be running the program? Maybe, maybe not. And I think at one time I even mentioned that maybe that's something down the road we could grow Ellsworth to pick back up. That may make more sense. But again, at this point in time, until we have that, I think it'd be foolish to turn down $50,000. That's going to benefit people in our community.
Yeah.
And basically, and again, in the past, you may not prove it, but I always believe that anything, I should not have the authority to sign everything unless I'm given the authority by either by state statute or city ordinance or by the council. So that's why it's on the program tonight. And I would highly recommend that you give me the authority to sign it so we can get money for people in our communities.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the agreement between Kansas Housing Resources Corporation and the city of Ellsworth for the Home Investment Partnership Program and authorize the interim city administrator to sign the agreement.
I'll second.
All right. So Councilor Moon has moved to approve the agreement between the Kansas Housing Resources Corporation and the city of Ellsworth for the Home Investment Partnerships Program and authorize the interim city administrator to sign the agreement. Councilor Hanson has seconded that motion. Any discussion or debate regarding that issue?
Do we get $3,500 for an administration fee?
Oh, yeah.
Where does that money, what line item does that go?
It goes into the general
Yeah.
fund, refunds and reimbursements, because I considered it as refunding salaries
Mhm.
for Deanne's time. And so that's why it goes into refunds and reimbursements.
And it's not 3,501. If we had 3,000 this month, it'd be 7% of $3,310. So, it's not a one-time thing. It comes, it trickles
Yeah,
in throughout the
right.
year.
It trickles in throughout the year, yeah.
And again, we're not doing it for the money, but it's nice that we get a little bit of admin on it. Again, I think it's, when 85%, so you're talking $37,000 is benefiting residents of the community.
Does it usually all get used up?
Yes,
And it's for deposits and
rent.
rents and stuff like that, yeah.
All right, we ready to vote? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we're on to the discussion of the S&P Global Rating of General Obligation GO debt rating for the city of Ellsworth.
Mayor and council members, this kind of ties together with some discussion we've been having since I've been here. One with the cash reserve that the city has lowered in the last few years. How money was used out of the utility funds for others used when it stopped, a gap filling it in. Of course, as you know, when we applied for in our application, which has not been totally approved yet, with KDG for the revolving loan fund for the sewer plant or sewer project at Lagoons. One of the things in the letter last week from Ranson says, you guys don't have high enough rates. You have to raise rates. We got reached out by S&P Standard & Poor's 2-3 months ago. And then they looked at our data and looked at all our stuff, and then they had a conversation with Angela Me about a month and a half ago, probably 2 months ago, whatever it was. And then they came out the preliminary rating last week, and then they came out with the final rating then. We've been lowered to an A from an A+, and a lot because of reserves. And some of the stuff they decided was this one, the cyber issue hit you big time. Not that it wasn't recovered, but we spent a whole lot more on cyber now than we ever did before because we had cyber issues. And because and the first few years you really weren't budgeted for it, and so you ate into reserves. And again, I hate to bring it up all the time, the KPNF thing. Again, another thing that was put in, probably not planned well enough, but it happened. And of course, we dropped in our water and wastewater balances. I told you last winter that I really believe that we need to have a $2 million reserve in water and wastewater, 1.2 to $2 million. And we're a whole lot less than that. Of course, we had some reserve funds, which we tied up last year by making an agreement with B&G. Now that'll loosen up when the state finally gets us, our grant funds, not grant funds, but our loan money. But it's just a cost. I mean, I know, I think this is, is this a big thing? Yes or no? It's not a big thing because we don't plan to do a GO bond, and a lot of cities our size don't even rate their GO bonds. They just do them. When I was in Junction City, I rated bonds, but there was a time when I refinanced $48 million. So lowering the interest rate by 3 points is a lot of money. I mean, it's a lot of money, maybe not the impact here because you're not going to borrow $48 million. You're talking more than $1 million to $2 million, a lot of times, or $3 million range. So yeah, I mean, and like I said, when I was in any small city I've been in, from Houston to Oakley to Neodesha, and even Abilene, we never rated them. We went out S&P rating. And again, why you did it, not good, not bad, or nothing, it just was. I think this puts in place, I think it's good to let the public know that the actions that the council is having to take now with the sewer rates, and we're gonna have to adjust those again after the first year again, and probably the water rates a little more, are not something that, I mean, it's something you have to do to maintain good financials. And this is kind of this ruler to put in the back of the head going like, it's been talked about, now do something about it. As we talked last spring when we raised the sewer and water rates, they hadn't been done for 6 years. And as I told you last summer, if you'd raised your rates by 5% a year, you'd have been about the level that you're at now. And it's probably not enough yet because again, when you borrow $8 million, just do the math, $8 million is going to mean payments of $400,000 a year, give or take. That's $38,000 a month divided by 1,100 meters. That's $35 a meter. What's ironic is the city of Lyons just went through a project and they had to raise their rates by $30 a meter. Junction City, we did, when I was there, we did a $110 million project in sewer and had to raise rates by ironically, by $35. There's something magic about that $35 a meter. It's like, we can borrow that kind of money. So per capita, everybody says, well, you're out of line. No, you're not out of line. We're in place. Like it or not, there's going to be days, probably in the near future, that the average water and sewer rate for somebody in the community, residential, is probably going to be close to $200 a month. That'll not just be in Junction City or in Ellsworth or Ellenwood or Great Bend or whatever. That's going to be everybody. And that's just the way it's going to be to meet all the requirements. And the federal requirements on the water wastewater side aren't getting less. They're not getting less. I mean, I don't care what party's in. Don't give me the party thing on president, stuff like that. They're not getting less. Because they're out there it is what it is. And of course, we all want to protect our environment. That's why we do the water wastewater projects, everything else. So basically, I think, this gives us a reminder here that, we need to plan when we have bigger funding needs, and we do have some with fire equipment and baseball lights and everything else, is how do we methodically get into those things? And again, you're rebounding a little bit, because you had some drop and I think we're going to be in the year in pretty good shape because one, we didn't spend the money we thought we were going to spend this year on salaries. And again, is it ideal? No, but it happened too. So, I mean, it wasn't what you planned to do, but you take advantage of those times too. So I think this is just and the reason I put on the agenda is it's one of those things that I think it reminds the council and even staff to go, we gotta go slow. We gotta think about things and find a way to finance it through. Is it going to increase rates? Yeah, it is. I'm sorry for that. I don't want to raise rates. I mean, I don't like to spend any money. I mean, but we have to spend money at times too, because if not, the repercussions are a lot greater. I mean, that's just like with the sewer pond. If we said KDC go away, well, first of all, they'd probably take our $2 million loan forgiveness and go, we keep that. And then they're going to go, we're not going to loan you money. So now you got to go borrow 10 million on the market, which the best you could do is a 20-year note, not a 30-year note. So guess what your rates do now?
They're gonna go way higher.
They go higher. Yeah. And so you have to do things as just part of it. Ellsworth is not any different than any other city around. You just have to make those improvements. I've said enough meetings here the last 10 months now that how many streets can we fix? We can fix a lot more. And again, I always said, if money's not a factor, we can fix it all. But it has to be because you got to get people to live here and, and your property taxes, we held them steady this year as far as the mill levy. Ultimately the city needs to grow and grow means more properties that are taxed or more utilities and everything else coming down, more sales tax. It's a package. But to me, this is no more just a warning to all of us that we have to think about it. We got a little slap in the hands. Is it a big deal? No, but it's a reminder that you got to be real methodical in how we do things and approach things. Been there before, trust me. I walked into a city about 17 years ago. And in the electric funds, like 15 years ago, in the electric department, I always say you want a year of uncovered reserves. I had 12 minutes maybe, because I had less than $20,000 in reserve funds in the electric utility. A good heavy duty transformer that at the substations are about $500,000 each. And so it can be done. It's just how you think things and think through and know you're spending. That's all I have. Does anybody have questions?
Mr. Dinkle, how long does it take to go from A to A plus?
It'll take 5 to 10 years. First of all, we will not get a raise for 5 years unless we go borrow a big amount of GO funds, general obligation funds. Then they might rate again, and you may not rate. And again, I really think an A to A plus means a few ticks of a percentage point. It's not like, okay, A pluses, you get your loans for 7%, A's, you get it for 9%. It's maybe, 5.8 to 6.1. And again, I always like to lower interest rates. And again, when I was in a larger city, when we had the large sums of money they had borrowed and I was refinancing those, it became real important because 0.3% on $3 million is a lot of money. On 48 million, it's a lot more money. I mean, it's just a matter of way life is. And but I think more importantly, it's just that reminder that it's a thought process that you just got to keep changing. And I think we've changed some things, since I've been here. But as you move into the future, is that one thing you have to keep this town moving forward, meeting all the requirements, but also trying to make it reasonable living. It's that balance, and you'll get through it. And not a big thing. Like I said, it's not a big thing, but it is a big thing because it's that ruler hidden in the back of the head. So.
Okay. So we now arrive at our last item on the agenda, and it's a discussion of a code of ethics for governing body members.
Maybe have Patrick come up here too. Like a couple of council members talked about, do we have a ethics for governing body members? And in my career, I've had some. They're tough to do because unlike an employees, I told department heads one day, if we had an ethics policy for department heads and they didn't follow it, I would probably suggest they get a new job. And we have disciplinary action. My comment is that all 6 of you here were not hired. You were voted on by your constituents. Yeah, you got 2 appointees now, but in essence, you are filling but you also, you 2 were appointed, but you were appointed by people that were elected by their constituents. So it all works the same, and I always say, Patrick will disagree with me a little bit here, but I always say, none of you have power over another person in this room. Of you 6, including the mayor, you have no power in bills. You all were elected the same. You all put your election jacket on the same way. You come to the meetings and you work on behalf of the city. So, there is some ethics code. We had one in their town I was in, but how do you run a meeting and how do you get things on the agenda? We're not having that problem here. Most cities, the city manager or city administrator in the case here, or the clerk is in charge of putting the agenda together. And you put stuff on there that you've been, one you've gotten, or as we've done last year, we put an item or 2 on the agenda. And I'll go back to the chickens last summer. It got on the agenda because somebody in the public came to a meeting and says, "What'd you talk about?" And you guys talked about it. Okay. And I'm sure at some point in the future, that same topic will come up again. It does in every town. Or, I came to a town that the pit bull issue came through. We went pit bulls in our town. And that came through the council meeting, or it was brought up to the public, and then the council then talked about it, and they moved to the point they wanted to get to. So ethics codes are a little different here, because if you do something illegal, there is other ways to get rid of you right now. There's ouster, there's recall, of course. So
Yeah, I don't have a lot to add to what Alan's saying, maybe just say it a little bit differently. This is what I usually do. We had a council member talk about an ethics code, and I've looked at several cities that have a code of ethics. I think one way of what Alan's saying is the problem is, if enforcement. Other than if someone is, other than, hey, we think that you are behaving appropriately, all you can really do is say that to them, which we can say that anyway. But you can't remove somebody, a council member, they can only be removed by the people. If you look at the organizational hire chart that we have, you know, the very top is the setting of ours, this is most of them. You got the council, mayor as a board, but then above them is the citizens of Ellsworth. So those are your direct supervisors, or all the people, and if they want to, they can do a house or petition, and no one's talking about that right now. The only things that really come up with code of ethics that can be enforceable are if the council member ever voted on something that they had a financial interest in, there's state laws on that you can't, you know, if you didn't disclose, or if you voted on an action where you profited, that would be very bad, and you would not want to do that. And was there a second thing where I think the other two? Oh, when I was just looking at other codes, a lot of them would say, and use decorum at the meeting, but then if you look at the bottom of it, it says. There's really no way to punish someone for not doing it. We've been running really good meetings since Alan came here. It's interesting, it's an interesting conversation, and a lot of cities have them, but so on the one hand, a lot of cities have a code of ethics, so you can adopt one and have one. But at the end of the day, it's not really enforceable, it's really kind of this is ultimately kind of a team exercise, and team members, which is you guys, have to kind of hold each other accountable for the way that things operate.
Well, I'd like to the council regarding the code of ethics. I'd like to inform the council that the Kansas League of Municipalities does support such a code for city governing individuals. Now, the municipalities league, they do not have a template of ethics, although they would suggest that the city government create their own. And Pat, since you are familiar with ethics, then I think you could be real instrumental in assisting and putting that together. When we talk about code of ethics, I need to mention that judges have codes of ethics, doctors have codes of ethics, nurses have the codes of ethics, military members, we have code of ethics, ministers, teachers, counselors, social workers. Those codes of ethics strengthen, in my mind, what we convey to the city about our commitment to serving the special trust of all the citizens. Now, I'm not talking about someone needing to be removed. And I've looked at that. It's voluntary, death, change of residency, accepting an incompatible office, recall of voters, an ouster. I mean, those are all mechanisms. Yet for a code of ethics, I'm not talking about removing anyone, nor am I insinuating anyone needs to be moved. But it's a special allegiance that an individual takes to say, this is what I'm willing to do on a daily basis. I'm a drug and alcohol counselor. When you come into my office, I'm going to treat you accordingly. I'm a city councilman. When you come into my office or you choose to talk with me, I'm going to be courteous. I'm going to be respectful. So there's nuances in a code of ethics that's different than procedures. And so if I could, I'd make a motion or ask that we have a committee, we put together a committee. I'd like to be on it. Pat, definitely be on it. And we come up with a code of ethics that's specific for Ellsworth.
Can I add something real quick? We've got a pastor in the audience, and I know the Ten Commandments isn't really a code of ethics. It's another level up, right? But it gives us something to kind of aim for, right? It gives us something to constantly strive for, and we all fail, right? We do, but we kind of know where we need to be, right? If you don't have that, you sometimes really don't know where you need to be. And so it can only help those 10 commandments. I can tell you that every once in a while something will happen. I'm like, oh gosh, that's something I shouldn't be doing. So it does help people that care about ethics, that care about behavior. It gives you a guidepost, something to kind of shoot for. So I think that enforcement's not even an issue here, but it's the group getting together and saying, here's what we want to believe in if we take these jobs, right? Here's what we all agree to as a group. And so I kind of see it the same way, that it cannot hurt. Now, who enforces the violation of the 10 commandments? I mean, that's right, more than the governing body here for sure. But so I support it. I think that's a really smart move, and we don't have to deal with enforcement. I don't think it. But I do think there have been some real nuances over the last year and a half, and I think it caused problems. It's like, how do we need to act? I think we were all on different pages of, well, what's acceptable, what's not, and I think it would have helped. Hey, you agree to this, even in private. You agree to these things. Sometimes that can get somebody back on track, even if there's no enforcement.
And again, I'm not taking credit, but from watching meetings last year for us here, what we're doing now, we've come a long ways. One is I'm not gonna put up with the crap. I'm just not gonna. And one of the powers I do have as the interim is like, I'm gonna tell you the way it is. And I think I've done that. And I think it's done good for the council, the way you work together. I don't care if you like each other or not, but when you're in this room, you're gonna act like a group, and you have for the most part, it's strength, I think, the last 10 months. And again, yeah, I do take a little credit for that. But on the other hand, though, that's the way you have to operate, because you get a lot done. Because, when I watched meetings last year when people needed to walk out, and I don't disagree that because they were being picked on or being talked about, everything else, we just have to stop that. We don't have that. We have good meetings now. We don't have, there was a meeting I watched today that this council got down to 3 people. One more person would have had to leave the room, the meeting was over. You're all 5 here tonight, you're conversating, you're listening, you're talking. You've accomplished a lot. I mean, it really has. And again, it's just the approach we take. And of course, it's a teamwork between us. Patrick and I work together well together. We work at that. And I think we've strengthened that team has strengthened. The codes are, like I said, are interesting for elected officials because you are elected. And like I said, if any of you candidates would say, you turn around, you say, yeah, I don't code ethics, but then you follow. So what are you going to do about it? Not vote for me in 4 years? I mean, elected officials, in my mind, I have a code of ethics as a city manager because I want to be a member of the International City Manager Association. I am, and I follow code of ethics and have for years. And even though I'm not an employee right now, but I still follow the code of ethics. And there's certain things good about that, and you want to do that. And I think that's important. Elected, in my mind, always crosses that line, and and I'm going to bash county government now. But when I look across the streets of county governments in every county in Kansas, is that elected officials, they don't have to follow. I mean, there's cases in Kansas where the county treasurer, they says, you didn't follow the county's nepotism policy. It says, I'm elected, I can do what I want to do. And the Kansas Supreme Court ruled in her favor.
Yeah.
So the point is I do think that, I get the point of having a code of ethics. I'm just not sure what value it will bring other than, working as a team as we've had the last 10 months and try to develop it that, we get through these meetings in as professional way as possible and we move on. And I think you've made big time gains.
I just would add real quickly, because we talked about, like, we have made gains, Alan's been a big part of that, and then the other thing, just you guys build, that, Alan and I were talking before the meeting about how every government kind of has their own meeting culture, and what you want to do is kind of elevate, it's just like anything, just like at work or at home, when you show up and be ready and dress a certain way and act a certain way, and you just kind of establish that that's how you do things, and you just keep raising that level. And that's really up to the governing body to do that, tell each other up to that. If we do a code of ethics, I mean, if you guys want me to do one, we'll do one, but ultimately, it's gonna be an internal, ultimately what it's gonna be is a promise, a non-binding promise by a council member to do the best, that's what it comes down to, which you can do anyway.
Is that okay?
Well,
Go ahead.
I just want to add on to that. The city of Ellsworth has core values. We're service oriented. We have integrity. We have pride. We're inclusive. We're collaborative. and we're public servants. So for the city to come up with these values says to me that we're receptive to having a code of ethics. City of Ellsworth's core values.
Yeah, can I add something real quick? That's a good point. I think we're not only thinking about right now, we got Alan, we won't have Alan forever. I won't be here forever. Darcy won't be here forever. We have to think of the future. And so we're setting a new course and we're saying, you know, if somebody runs for office, here are the things we want you to aspire to. Is it gonna make all the difference in the world if somebody's a scoundrel? No, it's not. But I'm telling you, these types of things, when you think about it and you go to bed at night, you're like, oh, I'm supposed to be doing those things. There's very little effort and there's a lot to be gained by that too, so.
But if you understand the basic form of government is that a governing body, this governing body cannot bind future governing bodies. Every ordinance that this city passed this year,
Right.
next year, you can take it away.
And they can take the code of ethics away too.
Yeah, and so it's not binding the future. And again, I don't think there's anything wrong with code of ethics or the fact that it should be a standard thing of people getting elected. You know, for you have your name on the ballot. And you're gonna let the public decide about that. And that's the way government works. And we're representative government for a reason, and you know, aside from the two appointed dudes over there, every one of you got elected. Every one of you got elected, and you got elected because you got more votes than somebody else. It's not, there's no magic there. And, you know, and that's what election's for. I'm also I'm not a big fan of term limits either, because in this case, you get elected every 4 years. In Tyler's case, if they want you for a third term, they'll say yes. If they don't, they'll say no.
What do you do?
Yeah, I mean, the bottom line, yeah. Again, we could probably draft some, but I'm not sure what we'll accomplish, is maybe what I'm getting at. I think what you have to accomplish is, and again, I think a lot has been accomplished here. You've made the mission to move forward and to, because when I look at this year's meeting compared to last year, again, the issues are different, I get that. But it's just like, you've got to the point that we're gonna have meetings that are good for the city, and you've done that well.
So we can do it, right?
Then you made a motion to do a draft. So we need to have somebody second that motion.
I'll second.
All right, Counselor Moon has made a motion. Counselor Allen has seconded that motion. I will tell you this, I think this is one of the most important things we'll do. Just from what I've seen over the last 4 years, I think it is. So anyway, with any more discussion about this issue?
I'd just like to say that, City of Ellsworth does have, mission and vision. The vision is to maintain the community with pride while fostering intelligent and sustainable growth, all guided by a small town sense of community. The mission, to provide a safe, clean, welcoming, and accessible environment that modernizes for the future while celebrating the city's history. And I just believe ethics, if people are saying somewhere that the council does have ethics, I just think that means something of an investment.
Any other discussions, concerns, comments? Go ahead.
I think it's a little bit of a waste of time.
I agree.
Like,
Well, we'll vote on it, but go ahead.
kind of too little, too late, and we're about to have an election with potentially a whole new governing body, so are we gonna have a code of ethics for a month, for 3 meetings?
No, it's for, I mean, unless they voted it out, it will just
It,
continue.
Ellen said it can't be binding for the next governing body.
Oh, should it be?
It's gonna be a piece of paper that everybody's
don't-
gonna expect us to sign that means nothing. That's what it's gonna be.
I don't disagree with
That's
the
what it is.
idea of a code of ethics, but I
So we could
agree
make
with
a piece of
Alan.
paper and everybody sign it and it means nothing.
If-
You
and
can't
everyone's putting
enforce
up
it, you
meetings
can't do
about
nothing
we
with
should
it, so why do it?
Moving ourselves to that standard.
You know,
Right, so
why
you're.
waste your time and resources?
Are you saying, let me ask you the question, so are you saying that you're not gonna, live by a code of, your own personal code of ethics, you're not gonna do that either, or are you saying?
I'm saying I think I live by my own personal code of ethics, and I think that that code of ethics is upstanding, and I've proven that for the last 5.5 years.
Well, then why is this such a stretch?
Because I think that we should all be living up to that standard, and I think that at meetings, we try to uphold that to our counterparts.
Any other discussion? All right. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no.
No,
All right, motion does not carry. Will not be drawn or drafted with the code of ethics.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Patrick. Okay, moving on. Department heads, who do we have back there? David, you have anything?
No, not that I'm going to do right now.
All right, who else we got? Anybody? Ronnie, do you have anything?
One quick thing, I just wanted to give a shout out to Dave Cox, to Michael and his employees. I took a bunch of 55-gallon drums out to their business that I use for trash cans. Some of them were in pretty rough shape that we had to get rid of, but they cleaned some of them up and painted them for me, so just wanted to give them a shout out. Put it on that. And if anybody knows of any empty 55-gallon drums that we want to get rid of, I would definitely take them. Metal drums. Yeah.
Got it. Thank
All I
you.
got.
All right, so anybody else? I don't see anybody else back there. So city attorney, Patrick, do you have anything
I
else?
don't think so, no.
Okay, city clerk, Angela?
Well, I see that Patricia Evans is here. And I feel like we probably better,
Yeah, Patricia has an issue with her utility bill.
I think she's here for delinquent, for that termination extension request.
All right, so we want her to come forward? Trish, you want to come forward? Where is she?
She's behind Karen.
Okay. Do you want to come up and speak to the council or? Yes.
You know, this is a bill that goes back 5 years
it's been an ongoing battle.
and amounts still owed, a large amount. We got the current, except, you know, there's a couple agreements out there and the one agreement actually didn't cover everything and of course I've been telling her she has to pay more because the changing rates alone are gonna have to. So but we still issued outgoing bills. She wants to speak to the council, so.
All right, go ahead. Yes. Welcome.
I don't have much to report. I've been working, trying to work with Mr. And I want to make a further appointment this coming week, so I have some thoughts. But right now, the whole situation is that I came back home after 50 years to take care of my mother because she finally wanted me to take care of her. And I promised Dad when I was 18 I would when I left home. So anyhow, Mom's gone now and she always wanted me to stay in Ellsworth, so I told her I would, but been fraught with problems. I had a flood in my basement. I've been gone to approximately 2 weeks. It was a little teeny drip. And when I came home, of course, it got smelling kind of dank up in my kitchen. Called the plumber found the little drip. And at the time, there was about 3 inches of water on the floor, but it showed that it had been as high as to get inside of one, I think 24-gallon tote, one of the medium-sized totes, but it didn't get into the second one on top. And it was a small basement. Anyway, it turned out that I was charged $4,000 for water for the flood. And that was at the time I was trying to find a job because Sandy the hurricane had taken out my major property. I don't know if you need this background or not. I can stop anytime. But I had a major piece of property, bed and breakfast in a great old, nice old big house in a small town. Close to Highway 13 straight through to Florida. And I was going there in the summers when mother usually had a problem with there and try to make money to support us. She was in the home, she couldn't stay with me because the osteoporosis was so big, and she was so thin, and the doctor wouldn't let her stay with me. Anyhow, we were doing this for a few years after I finally got here. She lived 9 more. She was almost 97 when she passed. Anyhow, after that, I stayed here and it was flood. And I couldn't find a job because the flood happened when I was 80. And I'm 84 now, and in January 2nd, I'll be 85. I still haven't found a job, even though I'm really capable of doing quite a few different things, you know, and I've got a fairly decent education. But no jobs, because most of my talents are city talents, because that's where I live, because that's where I can make a living to go to school. So, right now, I have no way to pay $4,000. And the city didn't, the city knew after the situation, they knew that I lost the house to Sandy the hurricane. It was in Maryland. And Sandy the hurricane and other circumstances caused me to lose the house. Okay, well, the house was sort of at least $41 million. And usually more than that, it was something like 420,000, probably high average. Anyhow, lost that, and then I had been employed by the same group for 37 years, and the group was taken over. That business was taken over, and once you have a takeover of a business, ordinarily, it's just a customary thing. The people who take it over do not want the old employees because they want to put their new employees in because they think they maybe can do it better or make more money. Well, all 29 of us kind of lost your jobs just like that about 3 months after the hurricane. So I know, well, I was very glad I had this back door paid for here at Ellsworth. So I came back to Ellsworth because I promised Mother anyway. And then I was, the flood came a few years later, but when the flood happened, I was only having Social Security, which wasn't even $6,000 a year then. Because our money was tied, the 29 of us, our money was tied up with the old company and the new company, and we were having to sue. And it came up during COVID, but then because of COVID, we were pressed back to the bottom. And now we're waiting for it to come up again in Maryland, and it's hard because it has so many more people there. So, anyhow, I don't know if I'll live enough to get what's owed me. The other people don't either. Anyway, so here I am, needing a job, looking for jobs, not finding jobs, and still on Social Security. And now at least I get $8,000 a year, but I was bought for, I could handle $8,000 a year real well because Dad was a good money manager and I learned I was the only child and he needed a boy, but he got a girl. So I know a bit about, you know, what he did and how he did it. He's a good daddy. And then, okay, the flood. The flood came, I had no $4,000. And I was searching around to see what could I do. And because I never had to do this since childhood, I always had money. Maybe not a whole lot, but I got a lot more later after a little bit more education. Well, the problem was I couldn't figure out having only 5,000 something income for a month. I could spring for $4,000, you know, water bill. Well, anyhow, they didn't give me quite long enough to explore it, maybe, I don't know, but I kept on trying. The city put a lien against my property because it was paid for. Well, they probably would have anyway, but it was paid for. And then for quite a few years, they didn't say anything about it because it, you know, and then finally they decided that they were going to charge me $85 a month for my water bill, even if I was spending only $46, and then they were going to apply it to some sort of a bill and the $4,000 apparently. Well, I kept paying it, and I never missed a beat, paid it all those years, $85, that was a hump out of $5,000 a month. Anyhow, so what came up next, was fairly recently, in the last couple of years, they decided I was past due on the $4,000, past due on it. But I didn't know you could be past due on a lien, but at $8,000.
So they just put a lien, is the lien the only thing they put on your home?
Yes,
That was like 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
So are you asking that what is she asking for us to do?
I'm confused, I don't know.
Okay. What is it that you're asking us to
I
do?
can't hear you very well.
What is it that you're asking us to do with the $4,000 to waive it?
4,000. I'm sorry, I really don't hear very well.
Okay. Angela, could you,
He's wanting to know, what are you wanting us to do with that $4,000 water bill? He's asking, are you wanting the city to waive?
I hear you as well as I can hear you.
Okay,
I guess I'm the only one that talks then. But what am I willing to do, or can I do, or what?
right, do you want us to waive the $4,000? Do you want us to make it go away? Is that what you want us to do?
No, when you have a lien on a property, the only experience I've had is that means that whoever places the lien will never lose their money because the person will want to sell and it has to be paid before they sell. Or the person will die and well, I'm 84 now, I'll soon be 85, but my people are long lived. So I don't know how much luck you have with that. Unless somebody got aggressive and I got good dogs.
Right. Have you communicated with anybody up here before? What is she asking for, Alan?
We had to find a way to get the money paid for, and she says, I have no way. That's
Okay,
basically where we're at.
and the lien just stays there.
Yeah, and
And
again, is the lien any good or bad when you don't know till it settles? And I have no idea whether creditors, and that's not what I shouldn't have any idea either. And it's just a matter of getting through it all and
Right,
So are
You
the
know.
payments increasing? Is that what I guess I'm trying to?
no, we
figure
need to
out?
start increasing a little more.
The water rate increase.
currently
Right.
she's paying what is currently
Yeah,
owed
that helps.
Just
for the
what she-
month. Yes.
Yeah.
just
So
what
if it's
she's currently
$100
paying.
this month, that's what you're paying this month.
So she's not been paying any extra on
No.
that $4,000.
And she never really did. Yeah, there were some early years probably where the $85 paid off a little bit, but that amount really hasn't moved much. It just hasn't. And nor would it, and it's gonna be that way, and
Are they talking about turning off the water or?
we did last summer, because we did have a leak. We did have a leak last summer, and she was not addressed, and we finally got her to address it. And her leak, at least the plumber told me, it was she had left the faucet on in a part of the house, or something was leaking in the house. And and we knew the water leak, because anytime you use water because we can read every hour. And it reads every hour, and when you're using water 24 hours a day, you're gonna leak.
I just,
Something to do, yeah.
I just want to say one thing real quick, especially because we have a couple new council members, so just real quick though. City of Ellsworth has always had a policy that when there's water leaks on the landowner's side of the line. And it's not on our side, it's on their side, and there's always it's always a bad story, but we've always said, no, we're gonna require the owner to pay the city, because otherwise, if we start forgiving those, it's gonna lose, it costs the rest of the ratepayers money every time we waive those. In most situations, people, and we often work with people to pay those because they can't just write a $4,000, $8,000 check at once. So we try to work with people. In this situation, 4 or 5 years ago when this happened, there really wasn't a payment plan offered, so we put a lien on it, because if we just waive it, then it's just like if someone came in the day after it happened, if we waived it. If we waive it the day after or 10 years later or whatever, eventually that's being absorbed by the other ratepayers. So anyway, that's the situation as I understand it.
Anyhow, by putting a lien on it, that I find I needed to borrow I mean, I didn't have money. I tried to borrow, but with the lien on it, I couldn't borrow. Cause I didn't have enough with $5,000 coming in, plus a little, you know, it was a little bit over $5,000. That's all I had coming in for the whole year, you know? And, right now I'm doing pretty good. It's over $800.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. The thing is the only thing I thought I could do is, I thought I wanted to, can't find a job or anything, I better start using some talents I had, so I wrote a book. I started out, well, I have another one written, but this was a children's book and it happened about something.
So real quick, I'm sorry to cut you off, so,
So
we can't help her, what I'm hearing from everybody, right?
No, we're not gonna waive, we're not gonna waive.
Okay. All right,
We just don't do that.
yeah,
Just,
so we don't waive it, it's unfortunate, but we typically, we can't set a precedence.
I've got to get up there so I can
Okay.
hear somebody, if you don't mind. If I
Yeah, go right ahead, yeah, that's fine, just
I
don't,
have hearing aids, but my
Right.
mother was completely deaf. And I
Yeah.
inherited from she and my grandfather.
so after hearing the story, okay. Tough story, no doubt about it. We don't waive, we don't make any exceptions because it would set a precedence. We would have a lot of people then asking, so unfortunately, we cannot help you.
Yeah, I know. I've gone through problems. I had to start over 5 times, but I've never had to start over at 80.
Right?
And right now, if not being able to get a job, I mean, I can do anything you want to do in an office. I've worked for lawyers. I spoke before the House of Delegate or Commons in Maryland. I won. Nobody believed I could, but the lawyer that was paid $50,000 to speak before me against it, that what the topic was, he got stage fright and he sputtered and uttered and he couldn't say anything. And so finally he sat down and I don't have stage fright. And I had a prepared text and I just told them I was going to read that and probably answer some of their questions. I read it and then I told them I'd add if any other questions they had, or I tried to. And there were 12 people sitting around a horseshoe shape. And they were all asking questions. I didn't care. I
Right.
answered them the best way I could.
Let me,
But I mean,
yeah, a possible solution, ministerial alliance.
Uh-huh.
It's an alliance of all the pastors in town. That may be a good starting point to talk to them,
to who?
to the ministerial alliance.
A ministerial alliance? You know how that runs? I'll tell you how it runs. Only one person tends to that. They also tend to Salvation Army. When Ministerial Alliance runs out of money, just on people's little bills or something like electricity, maybe. When Ministerial Alliance, let's use that one first. Ministerial Alliance runs out of the money they have, then they use the other amount, and it goes out, and it's all used up on these little things. It isn't big amounts of money at all.
Right.
It's.
They can at least
and-
point you in the right
I didn't get
direction.
one, you can't even
Right.
get two.
But they have a network of people. They may be able to point you in another direction too.
Well.
I would explore that.
Huh?
I would
And
explore
I'll
that.
keep busy with
Yeah.
her. I mean, she said she'll make an appointment with me and so.
Yeah, something. Ellsworth County has fewer than all the counties around it, fewer helps for the people that might run into a problem. And like, well, I don't need to go into it, but you know, I wish you did know it because that might help you too. But I don't want to waste your time.
No, well, thank you for coming in. We appreciate that.
Okay, I want to make an appointment with Mr. Ding.
That'd be great.
Next week. I have something I could discuss with him.
That'd be great.
He's been trying to help me along.
All right, I
the
hope
way.
we've been fair to you. Thank you. Yeah,
Thank you.
okay.
thanks.
All right, so where are we? We're city clerk. Did you have anything else, Angela?
No.
Okay, you sure?
Yeah.
All right, okay. City administrator, Alan?
Been a fun week in Ellsworth, all the sports teams, state tennis championship, the doubles team won state, second on the singles. volleyball team's going to state, cross-country girls are going to state, 2 qualified on their own, 2 boys qualified, so fun things in town. Hospital Auxiliary had a nice fundraiser, and I was able to be part of that and got to auction it a little bit, and then we had a nice little fundraiser that night, and so good things are happening. Halloween this weekend, be safe with your kids and get them around town and, you know, do all the right parent things and, you know, don't put your kids in compromised situations, so that's all I got. There's a football game coming up.
There is, okay. Very good. City Council, Tyler, do you have anything?
No, I don't.
All right, President Council Coach, do you have anything?
Halloween trunk or treat, 100 block of North Kansas. Right, I think,
When?
on Halloween,
Yes.
4 to
Okay.
6.
Okay.
Yep.
Sounds good.
Come see the Kiwanis booth,
All right, anything else?
that's it.
All right, Councilor Allen, do you have anything?
No, sir.
All right, Councilor Moon.
Just want to say I thank the council for listening to, my thought processes on the code of ethics. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Moon. Anything else? All right, Councilor Hanson, do you have anything? Okay, leaves it up to me. We have an election coming up next Tuesday. Good luck to everybody. Not everybody will win, but I hope if you don't, you consider running again. I mean, most of the successful politicians have lost. If you go through all of our presidents, a lot of them have lost at some point. So you win, great. If you don't, just get right back up there and try it again. So we have the election on Tuesday. I've got a couple things going on this year, the rest of the year. So it could be that my next meeting, not 100% sure, could be the November 10th meeting. So I'll kind of stand up there, give you kind of a little short farewell, and that will be it. And I will serve until January 12th at 5:31 p.m. and then these two will get sworn in. And so I'll be here available for anybody that needs anything until then. I think that's it. I was going to cover the Bearcats. Real quick, police chief update on the police chief hiring.
I'm getting everything set up for the 14th.
Yeah.
How many are you interviewing?
6 or 7, I can't remember. It's in that range, and I haven't got hold of them yet to make sure we're still in the running yet.
All right. Anything else with anybody? All right. Like to have a motion to adjourn the meeting, please.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll second.
All right. President Council Coates has made a motion to adjourn the meeting. Darcy has seconded. Any questions about that? All right. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, motion carries. We're adjourned.
If you